I made over $500,000 the past 2 years selling online group coaching programs. The truth is, for the right coach at the right time, there's no better way to serve your clients and make great money doing it. But most coaches make some massive mistakes when it comes to setting up their group programs and leave thousands of dollars on the table because of it. So if you want to know what it really takes to launch a profitable online group coaching program, keep watching, because you're about to find out. So one of the biggest mistakes I see with coaches who are launching group programs is they launch them at the wrong time in their business. I always tell coaches the right strategy at the wrong time is a terrible mistake in your business. It can cause a lot of issues and challenges. So the first big question you might have is, when is the right time to launch an online group coaching program in my business? And there are a couple of things I recommend that you have in place in your business before you do this. Number one is I recommend that you do one-on-one coaching for at least a year before you launch an online group coaching program. Now, why is this? Well, there's a couple reasons. Number one, one-on-one coaching is the best way to get clear on your niche, get clear on the transformation that you actually help your clients through, as well as really getting clear on what people actually want and need. So I see a lot of coaches who are launching group programs way too early. They haven't taken the time to refine their process and figure out how to help clients first. And so they end up putting a bunch of stuff into a group program that doesn't actually help people and ends up not being a really good program. So one-on-one is the best way to figure out your process, your methodology, how to help people. And then later on, you can scale with a group program. You can basically take that process that you've built through working with all those one-on-one clients and just put it into a group program. Also really important that you have a clear niche and a clearly defined A to B transformation before you launch your group program. So if you don't know who your ideal clients are, or if you're trying to serve 3, 4, 5 or more different types of people, it's not that hard to do that via one-to-one, because you can basically just give people whatever they need in those one-to-one sessions. But when you're launching a group program, it's really important that you have a narrow enough lane, in other words, a narrow enough group of people that you're really helping and serving. Otherwise, your group program is going to be a mess. There's just going to be way too many things you got to put in it in order to try to fit all these different avatars in these different groups of people that you're trying to help. Versus if you, number one, know exactly who your people are, you've got clarity on your niche, and number two, you have a clearly defined transformation. In other words, there's an A to B that you're taking people through inside your group program. It's not just helping anyone with anything, it's helping a specific person solve a specific problem. That is the key to creating a group program that has focus. So as an example, I mentioned this earlier, we've got this program called Coaching Launchpad that's really built for new and early stage coaches to give them everything they need to get a new coaching business off the ground, to get up and running to that 10K a month mark, and ultimately to go full-time as a coach. That is the transformation that we cover inside Coaching Launchpad. This is a very clearly defined A to B, as well as a very clearly defined niche. And as a result, because I have this in place, it's so much easier to figure out what to put in that program and how to actually create a really awesome experience for our clients, because we're not trying to serve a million different groups of people at once. And finally, one of the most important things, super important to have in place before you launch your online group coaching program, is you need enough lead flow to support running a group on an ongoing basis. A lot of coaches don't think about this. When you're selling one-to-one, you don't really need that many leads, because typically your one-to-one is going to be priced high enough where if you sign maybe a couple clients a month, you've hit your income goals. But when you're selling a group program, generally the price points are going to be a little bit lower, and you need to fill a lot more seats in that group program on a regular basis in order to support the group itself. What this means is that your marketing is going to need to adjust and adapt and to be able to accommodate that increased need for leads. And I see a lot of coaches who miss this, and they launch like a group program, and maybe the first launch is really good, but because they haven't given enough thought to how do I increase the volume of people who are coming into my audience on an ongoing basis to accommodate this increased need for leads, then down the line, 3 months later, when they launch the group again, it's nowhere near as effective. And so they end up a couple months down the line struggling to fill their program. So when it comes to launching a group program, usually one of the best things to have in place first is the marketing to be able to support that group program. Now, if you're looking for more guidance on how to attract more leads into your coaching business, you want a process or a series of steps that you can follow in order to do that, I recommend downloading our free client attraction guide. Inside this guide, I walk through some of my best advice when it comes to actually attracting more clients and more leads into your business. A lot of stuff that's gonna help you prepare for launching a group program down the line. You can get this completely free. All you gotta do is click the link above or in the description down below to download this right now. Okay, so hopefully at this point you should have some clarity on when the right time is to launch a group coaching program. The next question you might be asking yourself is, okay, well, how do I do it? Like maybe I wanna do this, what are the steps? And so in launching a group coaching program, there are 5 simple steps that you can follow in order to create that group coaching program and ultimately launch it in order to be successful. And I wanna go ahead and cover these next so you have clarity on exactly what to do to move forward. So step number 1, the most important thing to start with is asking yourself, what is the A to B of this group coaching program? In other words, there's a point that your clients are at before signing up for your group coaching program, and we call that point A. And then there's a point that your clients are at after working with you through your group coaching program, and we call that point B. And that is the A to B. That transformation that somebody goes through from A to B is exactly what you're providing and helping people with inside your group coaching. So the first thing to do is get clear on this. What is the A to B? In other words, where are your ideal clients right now? Really getting clear and specific about that. So for me, when we launched Coaching Launchpad, I sat down and I asked myself this question. And it was like, well, okay, point A is coaches who either haven't started their business or they're making less than a couple $1,000s a month and they're really at the early stages of launching or growing their coaching business. Your point A is gonna be different because you're serving different clients, but really getting clear on that piece and then going to point B, where are people gonna be at after going through this program? Really defining that. So in my case, it's you're gonna have a profitable coaching business that's putting you on track to 8 to 10K months and consistent clients and leads coming in the door. That's an example of essentially the A to B inside our Coaching Launchpad program. This is the foundational step whenever I launch any new offer, whether it's one-to-one or whether it's a group program or anything that I put out into the world. The first thing that I get clear on is this piece. And this makes everything else a million times easier. It gives you focus and clarity in terms of building out your program so you know exactly what you need to put in it and also how to market and position it so that it's attractive and people actually want to sign up for it. Now, once you've gotten clear on the A to B, step 2 is to map out the steps that you need to walk somebody through in order to get from A to B. So just imagine if you were working with one of your ideal clients, they just signed up for your group program, you knew that they were at that point A and you knew that they wanted to get to point B. What are the steps that you would walk them through inside your program to help them do that? So as an example, inside Coaching Launchpad, we got clear that there were 4 steps that somebody needed to walk through in order to launch or grow their coaching business to that point where they could go full time. Number 1 is they needed to get clear on their niche. Number 2 is they needed to build out an offer that they could sell. Number 3 is they needed to grow their audience. And number 4 is they needed to learn how to enroll new clients over the phone. Those were the steps that essentially became Coaching Launchpad. And that came out of a simple question, just asking myself, what are the steps that my ideal client needs to take in order to go from A to B. Now, if you skip this step, and I see a lot of coaches who just overlook this, what ends up happening is your group program loses focus. And it ends up becoming like a grab bag of different stuff where you just throw a bunch of stuff inside there because you think more is better, when in reality, most people don't feel that way. Most people don't want more. What they want is a simple process that they can follow. And so I see a lot of group coaching programs out there like this, and it's a result of not having this piece in place. So really getting intentional about mapping out those steps and also looking at what are the essentials here and what can I cut away? How can I make this as simple and clear and easy as possible and remove all of the additional steps and all of the other things that aren't necessary to take someone from A to B. By the way, if you're finding this video helpful, click the like button down below and let me know. Okay, so once you've done that, step 3 is to define the format and length of your group coaching program. A lot of people have trouble with this. What the format is, should it be fully group coaching? Should there be one-to-one included? here's how I make these decisions. I ask myself, what's the A to B? And then I ask myself, what is the best way to deliver that transformation? What's gonna be the most effective way to help that person get from A to B? And what do they really need in order to make that happen? And I let that guide my decisions as to how long a program should be, or what should be inside and what should be included. If you let the transformation and what your clients really need in order to make that transformation guide these decisions, you're gonna make much better decisions. Because at the end of the day, your program is a means to an end. And sometimes people don't need that much coaching from you in order to make a transformation. So just feeling like you need to have a 12-week group coaching program because that's what everybody else is doing might be the wrong answer. Maybe you could do it in 6 weeks, and oftentimes that's gonna be better for your clients if they can get there faster. Maybe they're gonna need more support on a specific step in the process. So rather than just having group calls every single week, maybe halfway through they need a one-to-one with you, or they need access to someone else on your team who can support them. So there are lots of ways to get creative here and figure out, different formats and kind of non-traditional ways to be able to serve your clients. And there are no rules here. I think the most important principle is just letting the transformation and what your clients really need in order to make that transformation guide these decisions. And just a note in terms of length, I think a lot of coaches get stuck on this because they have this belief that longer is better. Like if I can provide people with 6 months of coaching, they're gonna be even more likely to sign up than if it was a 3-month program. And what I've found is that this is not always the case. Oftentimes what people want is to make a transformation faster. And so if you're selling a program where it's like, it feels like it's a huge commitment because it's got all this time that someone's gonna have to walk through in order to go through this experience, often that can create more barriers for someone in terms of wanting to sign up. So my recommendation in terms of the length of your program is make it as long as it needs to be in order to create and facilitate that transformation, and no longer. At this point, the next step for you, step 4, is to go out and sell it. And I want you to sell it before you build out all of the back end, and before you do all the trainings, and before you figure out exactly what's inside every module or every week. This is a big mistake that I see a lot of coaches make when it comes to launching anything. We spend like 3 months building something before we actually launch it and sell it. And maybe we spend a bunch of time building something and then put it out into the world and find that people actually don't even want it in the first place. Or half the stuff that we build ends up becoming irrelevant because we're putting ourselves out there and we're realizing, once we actually take people through this program, that the things that they really need help with are different than the things that we thought they needed help with. And so we end up wasting all this time either way. The biggest way to avoid all of this, and I'm speaking from experience because I have made this mistake before and it sucks and I don't want this for you. The biggest way to avoid this is just by launching and selling something before you have it all built. So you can put together like a 1-sheet Google Doc that basically is like, here's an outline of what this offer is. And here's the transformation and the A to B. And on a broad sense, here are the steps that I'm gonna take people through. And that's all you need in order to sell it. And then once you actually have people enrolled and people who have put down money in order to pay you, then you can go back and you can say, okay, well, how do I build this out? Now that I know I've got people here who actually want this, I can actually go to them too and ask them, hey, when it comes to step 1 here, what are your biggest challenges in this area? Or what do you feel like you really need in order to get clarity on this one piece? And so I can let this be more of a collaborative process rather than just locking myself in my office and being like, well, what do I think people need? Usually a pretty terrible way to figure out what to put inside a group coaching program. So sell it before you build it, and you can go out there and just get on sales calls and start actually promoting your offer before you have these pieces in place. And then once people are on board, you can figure out the details and you can work together with them to create a really awesome experience. And then finally, step 5 is I recommend that you run your group coaching program live at least once and then convert it into evergreen. So a big difference between live group coaching programs and evergreen group coaching programs. Live group coaching programs are things that you have to run once, and then it's like a cohort of people who come on board, and then after 12 weeks or whatever the length of the program is, the program's done and it's over, and then you got to launch it again and again and again and keep launching in order to keep making money and keep bringing in new clients into the program in more of like a cohort style. Now, there's nothing terribly wrong with this, but here's what I don't like about it. It puts you on this like endless launch cycle where you have to constantly be launching new things in order to keep bringing revenue into the business. For me personally, this is exhausting. Like, I don't want to be launching new things all the time. I like having something that's open on the back end that's basically available for people to enroll in whenever they want. It's better for them because when they're ready, they can actually step into an experience and a program that can help them right away. And it takes me off that stressful launch cycle. So I've got more consistency in my business rather than having these wild swings in revenue month after month, where it's like when I launch something, I got really big, revenue months. And then when I don't launch something, things are pretty dry. I've got this kind of level playing field in my business where month after month, I've got new clients coming into this group coaching program. This is exactly what we did with Coaching Launchpad, which started as a live group coaching program called Zero to Booked. And I ran that. That was like an 8-week program or maybe 12-week program, something like that. And then I converted that to an evergreen group that is now Coaching Launchpad. And this is open on the back end. We've got people enrolling month after month after month. And it just creates so much stability and consistency in the business. Not that every month is exactly the same, but there's that baseline of revenue coming in month after month, which takes me off this like stressful launch hamster wheel and gives me just that foundation in the business. And I can always launch new things on top of that, but you've got that stability working for you. And that's a big piece that I think a lot of coaches want more of. Converting your live group coaching program into an evergreen program. There's a lot involved in that. We're not going to cover all the details today in this video, but that's something that I would definitely recommend looking into after you've run your live group coaching program maybe once or twice, and you're looking for more of that stability. Now, as I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest keys to success when it comes to launching a group coaching program is making sure that you have the lead flow in order to support it. In other words, you gotta have a lot more leads coming into your business, and you gotta have the marketing in place in order to make that happen. Otherwise, it's gonna be very difficult to fill a group coaching program on a regular basis. So if you are wanting more guidance on how to do that, how to attract new leads and new clients consistently, how to have that marketing in place in your business and really working for you on a consistent basis, bringing new people in the door, I recommend that you download our free client attraction guide that walks through some of the foundational pieces you need to have in place in order to make that happen. You can get it completely free. You just click the link above or in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video, you're definitely gonna love that one too. So click the link on the screen to go check that out, and I'll see you in the next video.